Hello everyone, Rob Guest from football.london here and welcome to the latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham, sponsored by NordVPN. Joining me today, it's Lee Wilmot. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Guesty. Yes, stepping into the hot seat again as Ali still out on his travels in the US. So yeah, you've got me for the second week in a row and probably a third week in a row next week as well. Delight for the listeners, I'm sure.
I mean, these holidays seems to have gone forever. But yeah, there's got to be plenty to talk about anyway in these next couple of podcasts because busy week coming up for Spurs, fresh from that 4-1 win over West Ham on Saturday. There's AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League. Crystal Palace this weekend on Sunday at Selhurst Park, and then a Carabao Cup round 4 tie against Man City next Wednesday. So big couple of days coming up for Spurs, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about a number of wins.
The dreaded international break's proper gone, hasn't it? Well and truly gone, hasn't it? We're full on fixtures everywhere.
Give it a couple more weeks though. Another
shut up.
We'll get on with discussing Saturday's 4-1 win over West Ham. Given the setback in the previous game against Brighton and Hove Albion, leading 2-0, ended up losing 3-2 because of a horrific second half at the Amex. I mean, this was just the perfect response, really, and the one Ange Postecoglou and his players very much needed.
Yeah, it was. I should, before I carry on, anyone watching on YouTube, I do own more clothes than this. I've just realised I was wearing this on the podcast last week as well, so I'll make sure I wear a different Spurs top when we do next week's one, I think. But yeah, after that result against Brighton, I just look at it now and look at the league table and think we'd be a point behind Arsenal if we'd actually got the result we should have got against Brighton. All shoulda, woulda, coulda, though, isn't it? Every season in the Premier League for football fans. But yeah, a perfect response. I thought pretty much controlled the game from start to finish against West Ham. The blip of the goal, obviously. You're never going to get a Spurs game where we're going to control everything and have everything our own way. We do concede goals, such as the nature of the way Ange Postecoglou sets up his team. So I think I did predict before the match a 3-1 win. So I was a goal out. And do you know what? When it went to 4-1, I said to my two kids, I said, this should be 6 or 7. Really, if we keep putting the foot on the pedal like Ange wants us to, it should be. It didn't turn out that way. Did kind of ease off a little bit. Was Ange even asked about that? He probably wasn't, was he, given that they won 4-1? But he doesn't like his teams to ease off, does he?
No, he doesn't. I can remember him having a real pop at his players. I think it was that Shakhtar Donetsk friendly. And with the 4-0 up at half-time or something, Kane had got like 4 and he still had a go at them. Just because they'd like stopped for 5 or 10 minutes before half-time. But as you said, that could have been maybe 6 or 7 in the end. It was just Spurs at their relentless best, really, that 8-minute spell after half-time when they got 3 goals. And then about pretty much straight from kickoff went up the other end and hit the post through Son. Werner had a header, should have done better with in the closing stages. But I thought in terms of an overall performance, they were fantastic on the day. And as I said, that's just what they needed to do after that Brighton game. And I was sat in the press box next to George from PA, and he predicted it perfectly. He goes, Spurs will go behind, and then they'll just run away with it and win. And that's exactly what's happened. And we've seen that quite a few times already this season. And I agree with you. When you look at the league table, you're looking at the results, the drop points, the Leicester one, Newcastle as well. Maybe could have got something in the North London derby. Spurs could be sitting in a much better position, but at least they've got back to winning ways after what was, a horrendous showing at Brighton in the second half.
Yeah, you mentioned that 8-minute spell. I think I mentioned it to you on Saturday when you're obviously in the stadium. I wasn't working on Saturday. I was watching at home with my kids. And the thing I found funny on Saturday was just Lopetegui wanted to make a triple substitution at 2-1. Obviously, got them all ready, and then by the time they got on, it was 4-1, and the game was gone by then. They couldn't make a difference, could they?
No, not at all. And I think prior to that, there was a crucial block from Van der Ven on Kudus in the area. I can't remember when that was, but that was early in the second half. And yeah, that was a bit of a vital contribution as well. But as I said, it was just Spurs at the best under Postecoglou. in that spell. And I thought they were really, really good in the first half as well, aside from when they conceded, when Kudus scored. Kulusevski just at the heart of everything. Once again, I think there was one moment where Son curled an effort wide at the target, and the people behind us in the stand, they actually thought it was in. It did look like it was heading for the far corner, and Johnson went close a couple of times. Porra had a couple of shots from distance as well. I think Spurs were just full value for the win.
That Son chance in particular was it was classic Son, really, and the classic sort of goal he scores for Tottenham. The way I can't remember who the defender was, but the way he sent the defender one way, because his entire body moved to go one way and just so quickly just came back onto the right foot to open the space. Just incredible, really. But no less than we expect from the Tottenham captain, obviously. What did you make of the team that Ange put out? Because obviously we spoke about it beforehand, thinking that there were 9 players pretty much nailed on to play. It was whether Son was going to come back from injury, and then that position at the base of the midfield, whether it would be Bentancur starting or whether it would be Bissouma. He went with Bissouma, obviously, scored the goal, which he's not in the team for, but got us 2-1 up, obviously. Obviously the right call, but did you think it was the right call at the beginning of the day?
I think there was always a question mark over those two, Bentancur and Bissouma. I sided with Bentancur, just going on the fact that he'd had an extra 2 weeks working with Ange at Hotspur Way just because of the international ban he's got at the moment, and having Bissouma, coming back from international duty, maybe not having as much time in the lead up to the West Ham game. But no, I thought Bissouma on the day was very good and reminded me of his goal against Everton. Not as good, but just being in the right position on the edge of the area. And it was fantastic play from Destiny Udogie as well. A really sharp turn, laid it off to perfection. And, maybe not the cleanest of strikes from Bissouma, but he found a way in there. And yeah, I think he certainly helped in midfield. And I think it's just good when you've got 2 quality options like that, Bentancur and Bissouma, to come into the team. And Son made a massive difference as well on the left. I think Werner's done okay in his general play of late in the past couple of games against Manchester United and Brighton, but with Werner, it's always the misses what remain like in your mind.
Yep.
And he should have done better with certainly the one against Ferencvaros and the chances against Manchester United, but he did come into the game with an assist for Maddison's goal at Brighton. But Son just makes a big difference in the final third, and yeah, really good showing from him. I think Ange was just happy to have the real captain back in the team as well, as you said, because he's been missing for the past 3 games, and very much deserved the goal he scored at the end. And maybe a bit unlucky with the first one, what was a known goal in the end for Areola, but no, it was just good to have him back in the team, and I think he just bodes well going forward.
It was quite good, I think, given the number of chances that we pass up at Spurs and not putting teams to bed, and that it was quite refreshing to see a couple of really scrappy goals. I'm not saying Bissouma's was scrappy. It was nice play, but as you said, there didn't get the greatest connection on it. Seemed to wrong foot Areola, who didn't have his greatest game, obviously at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium at the weekend. But it kind of bobbled in rather than being a really clean strike, didn't it? And then you mentioned the Son one that hit Areola, and who was the defender that it?
Todibo, who was linked to Tottenham earlier this year. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so a couple of scrappy goals. It's always nice to see that when you have missed chances in previous games and you've not put teams to bed, essentially, like at Newcastle, Brighton didn't put to bed. Well, you thought we put them to bed, but didn't. So yeah, a couple of scrappy goals, always nice to see.
Yeah, and I think having witnessed what happened at Brighton, Spurs fans might have been fearing the worst after going behind early on to Kudus's goal, and I mean that wasn't a good one to concede from a Tottenham perspective. So you messaged me straight after the goal saying Destiny Udogie again, because he didn't exactly cover himself in glory at the Amex a couple of weeks ago with the goals that Spurs conceded. And Jared Bowen's a really tricky customer. He's a very, very good player. But that was too easy for Bowen to get past Udogie. And good finish from Kudus. He was alone at the back post. Pedro Porro had to go across to cover Souček, and Brennan Johnson just couldn't get back in time. So not a good one to concede, but I think the reaction from the Tottenham players and the reaction from Destiny Udogie after that, fantastic.
Yeah, I've been a bit critical of him in private. Obviously, the 2 goals against Brighton, the one where he just fails to clear his lines for the Minty goal right after half-time. And I think, to be honest, if Brighton don't score that quickly after half-time, we probably have a bit more control of that second half. It gave Brighton all the momentum in that second half, and the tables just turned so quickly. And then he was really quite weak for the 3rd goal as well. I think it was Rutter, wasn't it, who first of all he tried a little flick down by his own corner flag to try and get Spurs on the attack, which didn't work and kind of came off him for the throw. Then he was weak in the challenge with Rutter, and then Bentancur was weak in a challenge with Rutter as well to score that 3rd goal. And then to see Destiny kind of do that against West Ham on Saturday as well, just let Bowen go. We knew he wanted to go to the byline, just kind of let him go. There was no strength at all there. I don't want to be too critical, although I am being very critical. I don't want to be he's only 21 years old, and he's only in his 2nd season in the Premier League, having joined us as a young kid from Italy. So he's going to have moments like that. He's learning while he's playing, essentially. But you're absolutely right. Going forward, he was absolutely sensational, particularly in that second half, wasn't he?
He was. To be honest, he started off really well in an attacking sense. I thought the only blip was the goal they conceded. But, at times after that, some players' heads might have dropped. And the crucial thing is for Udogie, his head didn't drop. He just, went about his game as usual, linked up well with Son, kept making those impressive runs forward. And that was a fantastic chip ball he put into the middle of the box for Brendan Johnson. That the header was just deflected wide of the target, but Udogie was in the second half, right on it from the whistle. Went close with an effort that was deflected over. Big part in Bissouma's goal, and just continue to be a big threat for Tottenham going forward. And Ange was full of praise of him after the game. He said, he still thinks he could have done better for the goal Spurs conceded, but you've got to remember it's Udogie's 2nd season in the Premier League. He's 21 years old, and he did say he's going to become an outstanding player. But in order to do that, you've just got to keep exposing him, playing him, and letting him learn from his mistakes. And he also mentioned that they're constantly working with him in training, and Udogie's embracing that. And I think he just bounced back really, really well from that era. And I think that's what we've wanted to see from him this season. A bit of a slow start, given the injury, meant he was always going to be playing catch up. I think he's performed well at times. The Brighton one wasn't a good showing, but as I said, he's responded well, and he was an instrumental player in Tottenham's win over West Ham.
Yeah, we all know why he's in the team. He is perfect for the Ange Postecoglou system. He inverts brilliantly, gets forward. He's how many times in a game you can find him as one of the furthest men forward. And I think as a young player, reasonably new to the league, I think you have to accept. I've got to accept, and I think many fans have got to accept that mistakes like that will happen. He's not going to be perfect at 21 years of age. We just have to enjoy what he does going forward, and hope that the mistake or two that he makes going through the season is not going to cost us like it did at Brighton the other week.
Yeah, I think people probably just don't expect it from him, just given how well he started last season, because there's always a bit of an adaptation period for the foreign players coming to the Premier League. It takes time, but he just took to the Premier League like a duck to water and just excelled from the get-go. But no, that was a really, really good performance from him. And as I said, it was just nice to see the Spurs team and Udogie responding so well to going behind, and crucially getting that equaliser 10 minutes before the break. Then Kulusevski, who, wow, just what a player at the moment. I've said it on a few podcasts recently. I can't think of many better players in the Premier League than him. on form at the moment. He's just running games for Tottenham, and you could see that even in the first couple of minutes of the game, just getting on the ball and just toying with the West Ham midfielders, just running rings around them and trying to make things happen. And I think one part of his goal that maybe was overlooked was Dominic Solanke's play in that, just to set the move going forward, and crucial touch just to stop Thomas Souček getting on the ball inside Tottenham's half, and really good run from Maddison and lovely finish from Kulusevski. I think Areola's probably expecting him to go to his far post, but instead cut it back in off the post. And yeah, he's just so good to watch at the moment, Kulusevski.
No, he really is fast becoming one of my favourite players to watch. Essentially, he's just he seems to have everything at the minute, and it's just the confidence is flowing through him. He always wants the ball. He always wants to get forward. He's got such incredible upper body strength. It reminds me a little bit of Adama Traore, the way he's kind of. He doesn't look anywhere near as bulky as Adama Traore, obviously, but he's got that incredible upper body strength to just swat players away when they get near him. And you think sometimes that he's pushed the ball too far, and he will just get there. He's got a little bit of pace about him that people perhaps don't see as well. Gets to the ball, knocks players off the ball, just keeps it in there, and you can see why. He was played a couple of times in that centre forward role when we didn't have someone as well, because he can hold the ball up and wait and bring other players into play. He's just he's incredible at the minute. Absolutely loving what he's doing. He's obviously thriving from being the captain of Sweden as well. He's got his young mate in Lucas Bergvall alongside him. Obviously didn't play at the weekend, but yeah, he just seems to be loving his football at the minute, and long may it continue. Really, there's going to be ups and downs. He's not going to be able to sustain it, I don't think, for the entire. No one does. But yeah, just long may this continue. Absolutely sensational.
Yeah, I think he's always said he improves every season. Like, looks at the areas he needs to do better in and works on them. So I mean, how good is he going to be next season? If this is his current level, he's just so impressive at the moment, and he gave a really good interview to Spurs Play after the game, and I think he's just really, really confident in himself and what he can do on the pitch. Certainly doesn't come across as arrogant. I think he's just confident at the moment, and you can see why he's so confident given what he's producing on the pitch. And then the only question you have is, like, why wasn't he played in this role last season?
Yeah,
as well. I think, yeah, again, in Andrew's press conference, he, again, was just singing the praises of Kulusevski. Does want more goals and assists from the player in that position. And he's
my FPL team.
Yeah. Yeah. He's getting into those right areas, contributing with the goals and assists. But, yeah, I think he can probably add a few more to his name, and that's what he'll want to do as well. That he said before, he's just growing in maturity and responsibility, that he puts some of that down as well to the birth of his daughter as well. That's just seen him grow as a person. And for someone 24 years of age, he just seems so wise, like a really wise head on young shoulders.
Yeah, you forget that he's only 24 as well, don't you? Really? Just because, yeah, if it doesn't feel like he's been around forever, but he came with a bit of a reputation already from Juventus, and he was only a young man there. But yeah, I can't wait to see how he grows and he evolves in this team, because he's becoming a real talisman for Spurs at the minute. And if he's captain of his national team, could he be a potential captain for Ange moving forward?
I think so. I think his leadership qualities are certainly growing. I think Ange will probably have noted that over the past, 16 months or so working together. And you've got this leadership team at the moment: Son captain, Romero, Maddison, Vicario in there as well now. And that's all you want to see, isn't it? Just more leaders developing. And Ange was asked about the leadership in his pre-match press conference the other day, and he says, anyone can be a leader on the pitch. It doesn't have to be the captain or vice captain. It's, someone just taking responsibility, whether that's Romero or another defender putting in a crunching tackle and lifting everyone else, or someone just getting the ball and driving it forward and making a key contribution. Anyone can be a leader in the pitch, and Kulusevski doesn't have the armband on at the moment, but you can see he has a big role in that team, and he is leading people forward, and that is just going to rub off on everyone else.
You've mentioned him there. We've not got him down to talk about actually, but I just wanted a little word on Romero from the weekend, who I thought was excellent. He has been at fault for a few goals already this season, and has kind of had a bit of an up and down start to the campaign. But we've spoken about Udogie being brilliant going forward. We've spoken about Decky being brilliant. We'll speak a little bit in a minute about Dom Solanke. Johnson's come in for plaudits the last few weeks, obviously. Sonny, excellent on Saturday, coming back from injury. I thought that was Christian Romero pretty much back to his best on Saturday against West Ham.
Yeah, really strong performance, and the same goes for Mickey van der Ven next to him. I don't think Spurs really had that much to do defensively. No. I can't think of many West Ham chances on goal. There was Kudus had an effort that Vicario tips over prior to him opening the scoring at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And then in the second half, I think Kudus had another effort blocked by the goalkeeper. But yeah, Romero really good at the back, putting a brilliant tackle on Mikel Antonio just before the break. Excellent sliding tackle on the edge of the box. And I think that's just what you want from Romero after those recent blips at the back. Just a strong performance. And I think that'll just give everyone confidence as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about Solanke, shall we? My FPL team didn't get anything from him after I put him in for this weekend, thinking he was going to do something. And to be honest, he did everything but score, didn't he? On Saturday, I thought his all-round play was incredible. He held the ball up, just knocked defenders off it, made runs forward, played in other teammates. Could have had a goal. We're just like inches away from little rebounds and stuff here and there. He's really turning into the striker that Tottenham need, isn't he?
He's some striker. I thought he was good at Bournemouth and deserved, a move somewhere else to show what he can do. But wow, he's a really impressive striker. I don't think he had many chances on Saturday. No. I think it was just the one shot in total. But just when you look at his all-round play, it's incredible. Just someone with the ability to hold the ball up, press the defenders, link up with the players in and around him, drive the ball forward when he's in possession. He has it all. And there were a lot of doubters about Solanke moving to Spurs in August, given the huge price tag on his shoulders, 65 million for someone who had scored 19 goals at Bournemouth, which was his best tally last season. He's just come in and made such an impact already, and Tottenham look far more better team for having him just being that focal point up front. And I don't think there's going to be many doubters at the moment, and anyone questioning why he was brought to the club. You can see why he was brought to the club with in his performances, and he's showing why he's the perfect Ange Postecoglou striker. It would be nice if a few more chances come his way on goal, but you cannot complain at all about the work he's putting in on the pitch at the moment, and he's influencing those around him and having a big impact. And there was a piece of play probably about 15-20 minutes into the second half where he had like a gang of West Ham players surrounding him. He was just using his strength to hold them off, and then I think he produced a quick turn to get through him when it looked like he wouldn't. And then he also played through the ball for Son when he hit the post just after the fourth goal. But yeah, Dom Solanke is some striker. Very impressed with him so far.
Yeah, he's certainly won me over. I wasn't necessarily a critic of the signing. I was just concerned, as you've said there, I was concerned about the price tag that was on his shoulders. But yeah, everything I've seen so far, well worth it currently. And if he continues as he has done for the rest of this season, he will score goals. That's the only thing that people who don't watch Tottenham week in, week out will throw at him if it goes on for another few weeks or months and he's not scoring lots of goals. That'll be the stick that is used to beat him with. But as long as there's people like us and the fans that are on board seeing his all-round game and what he's bringing to the team and the fact that other players are scoring because of what he's doing in the build-up to goals, he'll be doing his job essentially for an Ange Postecoglou team.
Yeah, I don't think anyone, criticised him at all on Saturday. I've seen on social media, just people praising him for that performance,
which is great. Which is great to see, because you normally kind of, strikers are rated on the goals they score essentially, aren't they? But if the fans are seeing what he's bringing to the team, then that's great to see.
Yeah, and you summed it up perfectly at the start. All his performance was missing was a goal, but those are going to come. So no doubts about Dom at all. We're halfway through the podcast now, so as Ali's away, Lee, it's your duty to let everyone know about the benefits of using NordVPN.
Yes, I will. Hopefully, Ali's using what he speaks about. I know he's still got access to NordVPN, so he should be using it. I know he loves his films and his TV shows, so I'm sure in his downtime with his wife, he's using Netflix and using NordVPN to watch Netflix out in the States. But yeah, if you're not aware by now, the Gold Guest Talk Tottenham podcast is sponsored by NordVPN, and you can use the service in a host of different ways to enhance your internet experience. NordVPN is the fastest VPN in the world, and that means there's no buffering, no lagging, and you can stream your favorite shows from anywhere in the world without your bandwidth throttling. You can use Nord to set your device to thinking it's back in the UK and just watch them as normal. Not only that, but the outlay on the NordVPN subscription is cheaper for you in the long run, and that's because you can purchase streaming services in other countries at a much cheaper rate. So, for example, you can change your virtual location to the USA, where Ali's enjoying himself right now, and you could maybe book flights from the US or any other country you want to book flights from. Also, security-wise, it's a great system for pretty much going as far as you possibly can to stop people stealing things off your devices if you connect to a public Wi-Fi. It's such a clever app that you can install on any device that you've got, quite frankly, and it is very easy to set up and get you straight on and going. There's a whole host of other benefits from signing up to NordVPN, so why not give it a go? To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and the link is in the episode description box.
Right, start of the second half there was a substitution, fair to say, raised a few eyebrows. That was James Maddison, fresh from assisting Dane Kulusevski for the opener. He was substituted off Pat Matasar. What were your first thoughts then when you saw that substitution?
Yeah, surprised. Like everyone, I think, very surprised to see Maddison come, because I don't think he had a bad first half, James Maddison. There was a battle between me and you asking if we needed to write a story, what was going on, if you could find out if he was injured or what, this, that, and the other. Lo and behold, TNT Sports eventually told me that there was no injury and it was a tactical one. So yeah, very, very surprising, but it was a kind of, I know, and might be very much like that, but it did feel like almost a 2 fingers up to everyone. After being criticised for not making substitutions quickly enough against Brighton, he went and did that, and Pat Matasar was excellent in the second half, and we ran out 4-1 winners. So well done, Ange, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I just assumed it was an injury when he came up. I did notice he did get a bit of a knock in the first half. Bowen caught him, I think, on his ankle. But he managed to play on no problems after that. So yeah, I think everyone probably is just going to assume it's an injury when it is one of your key players coming off and someone who has played well in the first half. But yeah, what a substitution. Pat Matasar made a big difference. I think Ange said after the game, West Ham, asked you certain questions in the midfield, and he just felt just bringing Sarr on, his running power, his energy. Spurs just needed that in the middle of the park just to help try and gain control and get an upper hand on West Ham. And it worked. Sarr maybe not been the best of seasons for him so far. I think he struggled on a whole in 2024 because, he was a standout player in the first few months of Ange's reign in that midfield three alongside Maddison and Bissouma, and really excelled there. Has made an impact this season, notably the goals in the Europa League against Karabag and Ferencváros. But in terms of replicating the form he showed the first few months of last season. We've not really showed that, but I thought it was excellent when he came on, made a big impact in the middle of the park. And like Ange said, he just wanted someone to come on and provide that energy and the fresh legs, and he did exactly that. And that was evident in the fourth goal of the game, where he's won the ball from Bowen just outside his own area and just played a fantastic ball through to Son, who's gone through and done the rest. So I think that'll be a big boost for Sarr. And yeah, I think he's going to be starting Thursday against AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League. So, 2 weeks on from Ange not making changes when fans wanted him to at Brighton, this change was to perfection and it worked brilliantly.
Yeah, that you mentioned the ball there to Son. As soon as he played that ball, out loud I went, "Oh, what a ball!" And it's like, "Oh, go and finish that, Son. All you got to do is go and finish that after Sarr's done the work for you." But yeah, you look at it, don't you? And it's a very attacking lineup when you've got Maddison and Kulusevski in that midfield with the three forwards as well. And you think about Sarr coming on, and at half time you think, "Oh, Ange has decided to go a little bit defensive in the second half," but you're right in what you say there. It's the running power of Pat Matasar. He can do the defensive work and also get Tottenham on the front foot moving forward, which perhaps James Maddison can't do. So it wasn't necessarily a defensive change. It was just more a reserved change from Ange to just make sure he had that extra man in the extra legs in the midfield, extra man in the midfield, and the extra legs to go forward as well.
And I think it gives Kulusevski a bit more license as well to push forward a bit more, and that was evident as well in the third goal when that was Son winning the ball, playing it to Kulusevski, and those two just linked up really, really well. Son running on the outside, Kulusevski slipping him in, and then Spurs getting a bit of luck with a couple of deflections off Todibo and Areola. I didn't actually realise until an hour after the game that he went down as an Areola own goals.
Oh, don't get me started on that, mate. I love Ali McCoy and love Darren Fletcher on TNT Sports as well. But they were having a whole conversation about, how has this gone down as an Areola own goal? It was Todibo shot, and it's just kind of hit Areola and gone in. And I'm sitting there like, that's not how own goals work. That might be how normal goals work, but with own goals, it's the last person it comes off gets the own goal essentially, and the ball came off Areola, so it's his own goal. It's not like they're going to be fighting over who's going to have it in the dressing room, is it?
No, not at all. But I mean, not complaining at all from a Tottenham perspective, because that one just gives you 2-goal cushion, bit more breathing space, and then Spurs just ran riot after that and added the fourth goal of the game through Son. And as we mentioned, that was just really, really good play from Sarr. And as we said at the start of the podcast, could have been 5 or 6 because the chances were there after that. Son hitting the post, Werner with the header as well. And
he tried to.
Go on.
I was going to say, Werner almost tried to head that back across goal rather than at goal, didn't he? The header that he had. Yeah,
I think that's probably just a confidence thing.
Yeah,
because anyone with the confidence flowing through the veins, and certainly an attacking player, a striker, would just go for goal in that instance. And there was, I saw it last night in the lead up to the West Ham game. On Tottenham on the Instagram account put a short clip of the strikers going through the shooting drills. Richarlison scored one, ran off, celebrated. Then Solanke scored, and then Werner produced this brilliant chip over the goalkeeper when he was running out. So it's like the confidence, is there on the training ground. It just needs to be replicated on the pitch. But as I was just going to say, Ange certainly wanted more goals from Tottenham because there was an incident in the 70th minute. Porro was down the right in the penalty box. It just looked like one of those, just fire it across the area, as we've seen time and time again when you're in these positions. But he took a bit of a wild swipe at it, went high and wide of the target, and Ange on the touchline, hand straight up, like gesturing, like, why has he not put that ball across the face of goal? He wasn't happy with that at all, quite clearly frustrated in the moment. And I think Ange's motto is like, we never stop. He just wants goals all the time, never take your foot off the pedal Was a shame that Spurs couldn't add a couple more, but I think overall you can't really complain. 4-1 win, convincing. Just back to 3 points as well after what happened at Brighton.
It's just standards for Ange Postecoglou, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you let players off doing the wrong thing at certain moments, then there is going to be other moments where they'll step off it and it'll cost you, sort of thing. So yeah, it's all about standards for him. And I'm not going to criticise Son at all for taking a shot early, but you watch that, the one where he hits the post, you watch that chance back again with the camera from behind him. He's got so much of the other side of the goal to aim at. You just think if he settles himself, and he can almost pass it past Areola. He went for the side that Areola was more protecting, to be honest. If you look at it, he could have just played it into the other side. But yeah, that's being hypercritical of Son after an excellent performance against West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, after seeing Kulusevski hit the post, go across, hit the other post and go in, you probably had your luck. So on another day, Son's FA is going to hit the post and go in. But yeah, it's what was interesting in the post-match press conference. All eyes were probably on Brennan Johnson as well going into the game. 7 goals in 7 successive games for club and country. Flashed one wide early on, volley, not too far away.
The confidence to hit that.
Well. Caught that really well. And then inches away with that header that took a deflection and went wide of the post. He still had an impact in the game, both defensively and going forward. The goal wasn't there. But Ange was really, really happy with him after the game. He mentioned it to the lads in the changing room. He knows Brennan Johnson didn't score today, but thought that was his best performance for us in terms of the amount of work he put in to help Pedro out right back, because he was coming up against Kudus, and just the fact that he was still a threat going forward. So yeah, that was just nice to hear as well, because everyone played a part on Saturday. I don't think you can really be critical of any Tottenham player out there. They well and truly put West Ham to the sword and thoroughly deserved the 3 points.
Yeah, it's kind of the flip side with Brennan Johnson to what I was saying about Solanke, really, isn't it? That people not watching Spurs every week, and if Solanke's not scoring, might get on his back, essentially. Whereas now Brennan Johnson scored 6 in 6, and everyone's looking at him. Everyone put him in their fantasy Premier League team, I think, and and then didn't get a goal like he has done in the last 6 for Spurs. But yeah, his all-round play. We're talking a lot, aren't we? Well, I've said it a lot today. All-round play for a lot of players. And that's what Ange wants. He wants the team to be cohesive. He wants them all working and fighting for each other, and results will come. And they all certainly did that on Saturday. Perhaps Brennan didn't get the goal that he wanted or deserved. Solanke didn't get the goal that he wanted or needed or deserved. But Sonny was back from injury and scored. Bissouma getting another goal, which we don't normally see from him. So yeah, the all round play was there for all to see, I think, for on Saturday.
Yes, I mean, I think everyone's probably just going to look at Tottenham's attacking play, given they hit West Ham for 4. But it was the other areas that maybe overlooked, the defensive work. Ange alluded to that in his post-match press conference. Just says there's usually like a real emphasis on, the hard work, organisation and discipline in the middle of the park. And, that really underpins the strong foundations that they've got there that allows them to go on and do the bits that everyone wants to see, that attacking play in the final third. And yeah, he said they did some of, the hard stuff, the hard yards really well, and that just helped them gain control of the game and just give him a good platform to go on and win the game against West Ham. So that was really, really impressive. I did ask Ange in his post-match press conference about Jed Spence, because he was a notable absentee. A few days on from signing a new contract at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I think that was certainly the news that no one expected last week, but really good to see Jed sign a new contract, because Ali asked Ange during the pre-season tour about Jed, because I think a lot probably expected him to go off in the summer following those 2 previous loan spells at Leeds and Genoa last term. And Ange basically said, Jed's career is in his own hands, got to take it in his own direction, and very much has done that in the 3 months since, gone on to pen a new contract. It's only a year extension. His previous contract was due to expire in the summer of 27. New contract now to 28, but it just shows that Jed Spence is now in Tottenham and Ange's long-term thinking. So that was good. The reason why he wasn't in the squad at the weekend was picked up a bit of a groin strain in training, and said hopefully nothing too bad. He won't be available anyway for midweek. He's not in the Europa League squad. So fingers crossed he can come back soon, because you never know, there might be an opportunity for him to start there against Man City in the Carabao Cup next week.
Yep, it was a few days on from me putting him in my reporters team that we do regularly on football.london as well, wasn't it? Destiny Udogie made me eat my words there, suggesting he should perhaps take a little break after the mistakes against Brighton. So yeah,
Ange just pinned that up, didn't he?
I think so. Yeah,
players. Yeah.
If Ange is using me as motivation, then Spurs have got problems somewhere along the lines, I think. But yeah, it's shame for Jed to pick up an injury. Hopefully, it's not too serious, because you're right. You would think he would start against Man City next midweek in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, there was a bit of a flashpoint towards the end of the game. Mohamed Kudus getting the red card. No idea how he didn't get a red card in the first place, given a yellow card initially, then went to VAR. I mean, he booted Van der Ven a couple of times when he was on the ground. He struck him in the face, and then did the same to Pat Matasar as well. Bizarre how he never got a red card. I mean, I could probably give him 2 or 3 red cards for what happened.
Yeah, he just clearly lost his head, didn't he? Lost his head. I can forgive him the first kick on Van der Ven, because I think the ball is there while he's on the floor. Yeah. But you see him, the second one, the ball's behind him, and he kicks Van der Ven. So that's obviously made Van der Ven get up and push him in the chest. Obviously, you're not happy with what you do. Why are you kicking me when I'm on the floor? You've already fouled me, and now you've kicked me twice on the floor. So then Van der Ven pushes him, and then he gets a slap. It's not a punch. It's an open hand. Gets slapped in the face. Then Richarlison gets headbutted. Not Kudus didn't mean that. I should point out, it was as Richarlison came in to try and defend his mate, got headbutted. So he fell to the floor. And then there's a fracas with God knows how many Spurs and West Ham players coming in, and Kudus does it again to Sarr. You're said on commentary. I don't know why. There's cameras everywhere nowadays. I don't know how players think they can get away with it. And yeah, you're right. I don't know how the referee didn't give a red card first of all. I was sat there watching it, thinking he's going to book both of them here. What? Van der Ven's hardly done anything. He's been kicked twice and slapped in the face.
I know. I couldn't believe Van der Ven getting the yellow card either. Because it's not like he's got up after being kicked and then started pushing and shoving Kudus.
There was the one push, wasn't it? The push he pushed Kudus once, and that's what he's been booked for, essentially.
Yeah, but I mean, poor Richie. Like what? 5 minutes after coming on, something like that, maybe. Yep. Running in to defend his teammate, and I'm surprised he's still got his teeth left in his mouth, because he got a whack right on the chin and the mouth. Went straight to ground as well. But it's just good to see all the players rushing in and defending. And I mean, you'd expect Christian Romero to be in amongst the melee.
Yeah.
But it's Brennan Johnson. He's always in and around it. Bit of pushing and shoving, trying to get to Kudus as well, and Sarr sticking up for his teammates and ending up getting a bit of a shove in the face. But thankfully, the ref came to the right conclusion in the end. Just bizarre how it wasn't a red card in the first place.
It was hard. I don't, as a Tottenham fan, I don't like to praise West Ham too much, but it was a real shame that kind of the red mist descended, because I think Kudus was excellent on the day. He was the one that gave us the most problems, and yeah, to have that flashpoint, I just unbelievable, really, to hit someone once. You can kind of understand the heat of the moment, to go and do it to another player as a second time. So I wouldn't be surprised if the FA kind of stepped in. I suppose it depends on what is in the referee's report. You would think the referee didn't see any of it if he's not going to send him off in the first place. So I think, I don't know how it's going to work. It'll depend on which one he was sent off for, will it? As to whether the FA can then give him any further retrospective punishment for for 2 strikes in the face on 2 players.
Yeah, but I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea, didn't he push one of, was it Morato at Forest?
Yeah.
In the face?
Yeah.
Nothing happened, so
no.
Who knows? Who knows what will happen in terms of Kudus? But for Spurs, as I said at the start of the podcast, big week on the agenda with plenty of games coming up. AZ Alkmaar on Thursday at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs have made a really impressive start to the Europa League group phase. Won both games so far. I think they're in the top 4 in the 36-team league phase table, so they're in a good position to go through. Another 3 points will really help them when it comes to trying to finish in those top 8 positions to put yourselves into the round of 16. Come February, how many changes do you reckon Ange will make then, Lee?
A few. I think we've already seen from the Karabag and Ferencvaros games that he's going to kind of give other players a chance, essentially. Dragusin back from ban, obviously, now. I would expect to see him at centre-back with one of Romero or Van der Ven. I think one of them will probably play. I don't think you can afford to have both of them out, essentially. Ben Davis at left-back, maybe. It looks like Vicario's the chosen one for in goal, which, again, I've said it before, makes the Jed Spence decision even crazier from my point of view, given that you've got Brandon Austin and Alfie Whiteman there as kind of backups if you need them. If you're going to be playing Vicario every week in the Europa League, I still don't really understand it, but there we go. And then you'd expect Starr to start. I think Bassoon will probably start again in the midfield, and then forwards, Werner probably starts. Mikey Moore will be in and around it. You would have thought he's done well on his European games so far. So yeah, maybe five or six changes. I don't think it's going to be loads. Solanke might play again, just because what he does and what he brings to the side, essentially. So it's not going to be easy. Looking at it, you've got Roma and Galatasaray to come, haven't we? In the coming weeks. So AZ Alkmaar at home, you would like to be looking at 3 points to make it 9 from 9 before you get those 2 really difficult games. Before then, what is it? Hoffenheim and is it Hoffenheim? Yeah, it's Hoffenheim, isn't it? And then Elfsborg.
Yeah, Hoffenheim away in January. What's going to be a bit of a tough one. So as you said, it's just imperative to get those points on the board straight away. I think he'll make changes. I wouldn't be going wholesale changes because I think AZ will be a bit of a tough test. And this is AZ who will have Troy Parrott leading the line on his return to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The AZ coming to the game, I think they've lost the last 4 in all competitions.
I was just looking at the Eredivisie table actually to see where they were, and they've started the season reasonably well. They're 5th at the minute in Eredivisie, but they have lost the last 3 games in a row in the league, and lost to Athletic Bilbao in the Europa League, obviously. So it's 4 defeats on the spin for AZ. They've only scored twice in those 4 games as well. So it might be a perfect time for Spurs to play them. Yeah,
it'd just be nice to see likes of Lucas Bergvall, Archie Gray, bit more game time. I'd be putting Richarlison in from the start. I think he needs the minutes. Whether you can get an hour out of him, maybe 70 minutes, just need to increase his workload after so much time on the sidelines. And I think he'll be raring to go. I think, judging what he said on his Instagram account the other day, I think after the West Ham game, it was something like along the lines of "Thank God I'm back." So I think
it was good to see him back.
Yeah. And he makes a difference when he comes onto the pitch, and they'll be looking to make a difference this week on Thursday, against AZ. I think Dragusin will come back in. I'm with you. I think you leave one of Romero, Van der Ven in there. I'd probably leave one of the experienced fullbacks in there as well. Keep Vicario in there. Bring Bentancur back in. But I think, given the depth of Tottenham's squad, there's some real quality on the bench now. I think you'd fancy your chances whoever you're putting in the team. It's not like in previous years where the bench looks really, really weak. There's some good options on there. And yeah, fingers crossed, another 3 points will be on the board.
You've just mentioned Archie Gray there, and I'd forgotten that moment right at the end of the match when he came on Saturday. Just the confidence of an 18-year-old to kind of win the ball in kind of his own, almost on the byline, and then just to essentially waltz across the 18-yard box with the ball, with West Ham players converging on him and just playing a pass out of defence. It just shows you what Andrew's brought him for, and the quality that he has, and the talent that's there, essentially, everyone expecting him to be one of the next big things in English football, essentially, and you can already see it. Yeah, one moment he's only been on the pitch a couple of minutes, doesn't really get a chance to shine, but does that.
Yeah, I mean, that was evident against Ferencvaros away as well. Had a really good run down the left touch line, and I think for Archie Gray, it's probably just a case of getting the minutes or getting a good chunk of minutes in the cup football, and then the minutes in the Premier League will come for him. He just got to remember, 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But it has been around for a couple of years already.
Yeah.
Just got he was introduced to the Leeds first team squad when he was 15 years of age, just because he's such a good talent. So, yeah, it'd be nice to see Archie get a bit more game time this week.
I think Ali's mentioned it, hasn't he? I'd love to see him in that central midfield role. He's obviously been used at right back a couple of times already this season. I'd like to see him given a proper run in central mid, just see that's where he wants to be, and just see his natural position and see what he can do in there.
Yeah, well, I think he's pretty much played everywhere for Spurs now, except for the front end in goal. But yeah, then I agree with you. That's his natural position. That's where you want to see a bit more of him. But even if he's playing as a right back, as a left back, or at centre back, he's only going to help his game. He's still a young lad that's just going to help take his game to the very next level. Right, we'll leave that there for today's latest episode of Gold Guest Talk Tottenham. We'll be back next week to reflect on the game against AZ Alkmaar and then also Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park on Sunday. Thank you as ever for listening in, and just keep with us at football.london for all your latest Tottenham news. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/goldguest. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.